Hi, kids. Welcome back to Bible College. Miss Nancy wants to do a lesson today. I want to tell you first that there is one wind in the Bible that has a name. It's called Euroclydon. And then it tells us in the Bible that there are four winds. Of course, it's the north, south, east, and west. But today we're going to concentrate on some stories that talk about the east wind. So let's get started. And all these stories are in the Old Testament. The first one is in the book of Genesis, chapter 41. It came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by a river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-fleshed and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, 7 ears of corn came up on one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears appeared and blasted, with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And after this, Pharaoh had sent for the magicians and the soothsayers and everybody in the land to interpret his dream, but no one could. And then someone reminded him of a man named Joseph. And Joseph come and tells him what his dreams meant and interpret them for him. So here's the end to those dreams. And this is Pharaoh talking. I awoke, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this to the magicians, but there was none that could declare it unto me. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God had showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. And then he tells him this. The 7 good kine are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years, and the dream is one. So he says both of these dreams are the same one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kine that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty years blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. So that's the first thing that we study about the east winds doing. And the second one is in Exodus chapter 10. And this is Moses, and God had told him to tell Pharaoh to let his children go, but Pharaoh would not. He kept hardening his heart, and there was plagues sent through Moses by God to tell him, let him go, let him go. And here's one of them. Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought locusts, and the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there was no such locust as they, neither after them shall be such. And here's why. For they covered the face of the whole earth. Then Pharaoh called, I skipped down a little bit, called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned against thee and the Lord your God, and against you, Now therefore forgive, I pray thee, my sin this once. He's already done this sometimes, but he asked for just this once. And entreat the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locust and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt. But the Lord at this time hardened Pharaoh's heart. And he went through so much. He went through so many plagues till the last one. And that was the most horrible one Miss Nancy could ever imagine. And that was about the firstborn of every child in Egypt that died. And it was a great mourning only because Pharaoh would not listen to God. All he wanted the children of Israel to do at that point was go into the wilderness and worship him for 3 days and 3 nights. But Pharaoh hardened his heart and he never would let him. So in Exodus 14, we're going to go on with this story. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel that they turn and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon, before it shall ye encamp by the sea. So at this point, Pharaoh had said, go on, go. He wanted them gone because the firstborn had died. So he finally thought he had enough, and he let them go. Well, they went, but then Pharaoh will say to the children of Israel, he thought about this, they are entangled in the land, about the children of Israel. They are entangled in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. And then God says, I'll harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people, and they said, why have we done this, that we have let Israel stop from serving us, let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot and took his people with him, and he took 600 chariots, chosen ones, and all the chariots of Egypt, and the captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with a high hand. They borrowed everything. They got gold, silver, everything. It was really a great move that God showed them. But the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen, his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea. And here's what I want to say. They had it in their mind to destroy the Israelites, but God had a different plan. But when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. And here's how the Israelites felt. They were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. They'd been crying and complaining to Moses. This time they cried to the Lord. And they said unto Moses, they still hadn't got over that part, because there was no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? They're blaming Moses. It wasn't his fault. God had demanded it. Is it not this the word that we told thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? No, for it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. Well, that's a long story by itself. But Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom ye shall see today, ye shall see them again no more, for the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me, speaking to the children of Israel, that they go forward? But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And then he says he's going to harden the hearts of the Egyptians. So to make this story a little bit shorter, they went, and all night there was an east wind blowing, a strong east wind. It blew all night and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. Now, I just want you to think about this. If you've ever heard the great stories of the Bible, this is one of them. When Israel stepped into that sea, think about it. A wall as far up as they could see, maybe. Green, like I see a flint rock. I don't even know if you guys know what that is. Or blue, deeper, or maybe even black, but on both sides. And the Israelites entered into the sea, and when they put their feet down, it was on dry land. And every one of them got across. And they were hid from the Egyptians behind them by a pillow. And that pillar, I'm sorry, not pillow, pillar, that pillar was between them and Egypt. And to Egypt, it was a pillar of darkness. But to the Israelites, it was a pillar of light, so it kept them safe. But then old Pharaoh and his army started right after them to come. And then they saw what happened, and they thought, if they can do it, we can do it. And they started into the sea. And they got pretty far in there, and they was driving them horses and stuff wild and hard. And God, he took the wheels off of the chariots, and they was driving them hard. And all of a sudden, God saw the Israelites get to the other side, and he brought down the water on both sides on the Egyptians. And every one of them, their chariots or horses, every one of them died that day when they tried to overtake them. God had hardened his heart, and he couldn't see for the blindness of the greed that Pharaoh had. So the next one is in Psalms 78. And I want to warn you, babies, about not grumbling or complaining. I might have a little bit of problem with this. Okay, sometimes I find myself doing it when I'm thinking, you know better than that. But this is a time when the Israelites was going through the wilderness, and they had such a privilege of God providing everything for them. And I just want to read this to you, and I want you to think about it now. So the east wind brought those corn. They just killed those corn, withered them up in that first story when Joseph told Pharaoh his dream. In the second one, the east wind blew all night and blew in the locust the next morning that covered the ground, and the ground was dark because of it. Never had been before that or after that. The next one, the east wind blew and caused them to walk over on dry ground in between two big, huge walls of water. And this is the children of Israel in the desert. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against God, and they said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel. And this is why, kids, because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation. Though he commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and he had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven. Then get this, kids, I love this part. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like as the sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitation. So they did eat and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. But even at this, kids, because the Israelites was complaining the whole time, God was not pleased. God is never pleased when we complain. Don't murmur and don't complain. He's liable to send the east wind. And Miss Nancy's going to have to remember this too, because I don't want him to send my own east wind. So please, kids, remember when you feel the wind blowing on your face, the next few days supposed to be windy, think about the east wind. And remember, you know the name of one wind in the Bible, and that's Euroclydon. But always think about the east winds and how powerful they was. It brought the wind that blasted the corn. It brought the locusts, so the grounds was covered and they ate everything. It brought the waters down on top of Pharaoh and all the Egyptians. And it brought quails so deep in the land, and they had so much to eat that it was coming out their nostrils. So let's be grateful when God does things for us. And if we think that he says no sometimes, that's okay too. He just wants you to trust him. So trust him in everything, babies. I'll see you next time. Bye.